Have you ever wondered, why do lies, when repeated long enough, start to feel like the truth? And are we really thinking independently, or are we just puppets in a carefully orchestrated play? From political propaganda campaigns, mass fanaticism, to social movements that spread like wildfire, human history has witnessed the terrifying power of unseen forces manipulating the emotions, behaviors, and beliefs of millions. But how do they do it? Is there a hidden formula quietly operating behind the scenes in media, religion, education, even social media? In this video, we'll uncover the deeper layers of mind control, exploring it through the lenses of biology, psychology, sociology, and modern technology. You might not even realize you're being manipulated until you finally see the blueprint. Get ready. The truth may send chills down your spine, but awareness is the first step to reclaiming your freedom of thought. If you were an American woman in the 1920s, smoking a cigarette in public was considered absolutely unacceptable, a trademark behavior of prostitutes and rebels. But something curious happened during the Easter parade in New York. Dozens of elegant women lit their cigarettes simultaneously, calling them torches of freedom, a symbol of female emancipation. Sounds cool, right? What these women didn't know was that they were starring in the first major social engineering experiment of the modern era. Behind that spontaneous demonstration was Edward Bernays, nephew of Sigmund Freud, working for the American Tobacco Company. Bernays had discovered something revolutionary. You don't need to sell a product. You just need to sell an identity, a feeling, a dream, using his famous uncle's psychoanalytic theories about the unconscious mind. Bernays turned smoking from a male vice into a symbol of female empowerment. Within a few years, Lucky Strike sales to women exploded. More importantly, this marked the birth of something called the engineering of consent. What you're about to discover goes far beyond shallow conspiracy theories. We're talking about an invisible architecture of control, operating in layers so deep within human consciousness that its victims not only consent to their own manipulation, they fiercely defend it. Get ready for a journey through the most hidden layers of social reality, where we'll uncover how entire societies are manipulated to willingly remain miserable and ignorant through techniques that combine deep psychology, occult symbolism, and social engineering. This is the anatomy of collective mind control, the engineering of consent. Today, almost a century after Freud's nephew ran that experiment, we live submerged in an infinitely more sophisticated version of the same manipulation. The modern landscape of manipulation. Imagine a world where every choice you make, every purchase, every opinion, every emotional reaction is quietly shaped by forces you can't see. This isn't science fiction. It's the reality we live. In the modern landscape of manipulation is a sophisticated machine, orchestrating everything from your impulse buys to political debates and social crises. These aren't random events, they're carefully crafted by unseen powers operating in the shadows of our perception. Most people don't suspect a thing, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. In 1988, Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman blew the lid off this system with their groundbreaking book, Manufacturing Consent. They revealed how media acts as a filter, not just shaping what we think about, but dictating what we're allowed to think about. Every Netflix series you binge, every news story scrolling across your feed carries a hidden agenda, serving the interests of those who control the narrative. It's not about informing you, it's about steering you. Social media amplifies this, with biased and false news spreading like wildfire, often unchecked. Some wield their platforms to push personal agendas, eroding the foundations of democracy. This isn't an accident. It's a deliberate strategy to keep you distracted, divided, and dazzled. Consider the aftermath of the Vietnam War. U.S. government studies identified a problem. Americans had developed a sickly inhibition against violence, growing reluctant to support military action. For an imperial superpower, this was unacceptable. Enter Hollywood, a surprising but powerful tool in the manipulation arsenal. As investigative journalist David Robb exposed in Operation Hollywood how the Pentagon shapes and censors the movies, the U.S. Department of Defense has influenced Hollywood for over 50 years. In exchange for access to military gear, locations, and technical expertise, studios grant the Pentagon final script approval. Films like Rambo weren't just blockbuster hits, they were psychological operations designed to reframe war as heroic and necessary. These movies romanticized violence and patriotism, subtly reprogramming an entire generation to embrace military interventions. The Pentagon's collaboration with studios ensures conflicts are portrayed as noble, with heroes saving the day. This isn't entertainment, it's propaganda disguised as popcorn flicks. The result? A public primed to support decades of wars, often without questioning the deeper motives. Every explosion on screen, every heroic soldier is a calculated move to shift your perception, making you cheer for causes that serve those in power. This manipulation extends beyond cinema. Every ad, every trending topic, every viral video is part of a larger web designed to control what you think and feel. The forces behind these efforts don't just want your attention, they want your compliance. By flooding your mind with curated narratives, they keep you too distracted to question the system. But here's the truth, you can break free. Start by questioning what you consume. Check the facts, challenge the narrative, and seek out voices that spark critical thinking. This is your first step toward dismantling the invisible chains of manipulation and reclaiming your mind. The power of distraction. The most powerful tool in the engineering of consent is distraction. The ancient Romans already knew this. Keep the masses fed and entertained, and they won't question power. Panem et circenses bred in circuses. Today, this strategy has been turned into a science. Your TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube algorithms are designed by behavioral neuroscientists to hijack your brain's reward system. As former Google executive Tristan Harris revealed in the documentary, The Social Dilemma, these platforms compete for the most valuable commodity of the digital age, your attention. The goal isn't just to keep you glued to the screen. It's to drain every ounce of your mental energy that could be used for personal growth or critical questioning. After all, who's going to meditate or read a book when there's an endless feed of content designed to be more addictive than cocaine? As Aldous Huxley once said, you don't need to ban books when you can make people not want to read them. Formal education has been completely hijacked by this agenda. The control over what can or cannot be taught in schools is meticulously planned. After all, this is the system's main line of defense against mass awareness. Subjects that could spark critical consciousness are systematically excluded or distorted. In their place, we get fragmented knowledge that creates technical specialists, but wisdom, illiterate citizens. The goal is to keep the majority of people at the lowest possible level of education, just enough to tighten a screw or do the equivalent task in their field, but not enough to question the system that employs them. Universities, which should be centers for critical thinking and questioning, have become factories for ideological reproduction. Students graduate with expensive diplomas but without real capacity for independent analysis. They learn what to think, not how to think. Emotional manipulation and neuromarketing. While the defense of this system operates through programmed ignorance, the attack happens through emotional manipulation. Those behind the curtain have understood something fundamental. Emotions are the language of the subconscious. Whoever controls emotions controls actions. And here we reach the heart of the matter. Do you really control your emotions and decisions? According to decades of behavioral neuroscience research, the answer is no. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner in economics, demonstrated in Thinking, Fast and Slow how our brain makes decisions within milliseconds through automatic and irrational processes long before our conscious mind even knows what's happening. The engineers of consent not only know this, they've weaponized it against us. Modern marketing is psychology applied with surgical precision. Images of babies, children, and pets don't appear in ads by accident. They trigger deep maternal instincts, especially strong in women, creating an unconscious compulsion to protect and nurture. This isn't casual marketing. It's neuromarketing, grounded in deep knowledge of how the human mind works. How many times have you made an impulsive purchase and later asked yourself, why the hell did I buy this? That wasn't your failure. That was the system working exactly as designed. You were manipulated through emotional triggers operating below your level of awareness. They know exactly how to spark any impulse they want in you to make you buy anything they want, adopt any opinion about any public figure or situation, just by pushing the right button in your subconscious, like a joystick controlling a video game character. The sexualization of culture. One of the most brilliant strategies is the systematic sexualization of culture. We're talking about meticulously calculated social engineering. The hypersexualization of media serves two strategic purposes. First, profit, obviously, and second, keeping most of humanity trapped on the second level of Maslow's hierarchy, unable to climb the ladder of consciousness evolution. In men, sexual energy is constantly drained through pornography and cultural hypersexualization, creating chronically fatigued individuals lacking the vital force to question or resist. This energy, when conserved, generates personal power and mental clarity. Its constant dissipation produces weak, dependent, and easily controlled men. In women, the strategy is reversed but just as destructive. Natural feminine energy, which comes from a deep connection with the sacred feminine, is corrupted through hypersexualization and objectification. The result is a complete disconnection from authentic feminine power, creating an existential void that must be filled with compulsive consumerism. This toxic ecosystem feeds itself. The void created by the corruption of natural energies generates a compulsion to fill it with products, experiences, and superficial relationships. It's a perfectly designed vicious cycle built to generate profit and dependency. Cultural infantilization. Infantilization is another fundamental pillar of this control architecture. Popular music, movies, and digital content are deliberately dumbed down to treat adults like 12-year-old kids. This isn't an accidental side effect of cultural democratization. It's a precise psychological strategy. As Edward Bernays himself wrote in Propaganda, adults question authority, analyze critically, and make independent decisions. Children are easily influenced, respond to authority without questioning, and accept simple narratives about a complex world. Every piece of content has to be completely dumbed down to work through constant self-suggestion, keeping the population in an infantilized mental state via simplified entertainment and basic language. We create totally dependent individuals with no capacity for complex decision-making, and the plan worked perfectly. Just watch any modern political debate and you'll see adults behaving like kids fighting during recess. Social violence is also carefully cultivated to serve the interests of power. Governments systematically fuel social tensions and then present solutions that involve more control, more surveillance, more restrictions on individual freedoms. It's the classic problem-reaction-solution strategy: create or amplify a problem, wait for the public reaction of fear and outrage, then implement the solution you wanted from the start. These protective measures aren't just accepted, they're demanded by the population itself. Media as a tool of control. Open your eyes and really look at what's on TV. News programs are a constant bombardment of tragedy, violence, and conflict, not because these are the only things happening in the world, but because fear and anger are the most useful emotional states for political manipulation. All cultural idols are carefully manufactured. All your heroes are fabricated, from politicians to TV hosts. As researcher Fritz Springmeier documents in his studies on mind control, the entertainment industry works like a machine that produces idols designed to spread specific values, behaviors, and aspirations. Everything we've discussed so far is just the tip of the iceberg, the visible mechanisms for those with eyes to see. But there are much deeper layers where this engineering has infiltrated every foundational institution of society: financial, pharmaceutical, food, educational, and even spiritual operates under this same command, the command of those pulling the strings without anyone noticing. Pharmaceutical corporations don't just sell medication. They redefine the parameters of what constitutes health and disease. Conditions once seen as normal variations of the human experience are now pathologized and medicalized. Natural sadness becomes clinical depression. Introversion turns into social anxiety disorder. Attention hijacked by screens becomes ADHD. This medicalization of existence serves multiple purposes. It generates astronomical profits, creates chemical dependency, and more importantly, redefines spiritual and social problems as individual. Biological defects that require chemical intervention instead of personal transformation or social change. The food industry operates on similar principles, using neuroscientific knowledge about the brain's pleasure centers to create deliberately addictive products. The specific combination of sugar, salt, and fat in processed foods is no accident. It's the result of decades of research on how to hack neurological reward systems. The goal is more than just profit. Populations chronically intoxicated by processed foods live in a mental fog, emotional instability, and chronic fatigue states that prevent critical thinking and effective action. The self-imposed prison at every level of the power hierarchy. There are conscious or unconscious agents of this hidden agenda. There's no place to run in the traditional sense. Every aspect of our society is under the influence of this engineering. In circuses, tigers are trained with whips until they obey commands. The obedient tiger is the good tiger. But there's an even better kind of tiger, the one that doesn't need to be whipped. The one that has internalized the system's doctrine so deeply that it behaves exactly as desired without needing to be forced. This tiger obeys on its own. It has fully internalized the rules of the game. It no longer needs to be coerced because it has become its own jailer. That's the ultimate goal of the engineering of consent, to create a population that self-controls, self-censors, consumes exactly what it's supposed to consume, and thinks exactly what it's supposed to think, all while believing they're making free choices. This situation may seem hopeless, but there's one element the architects of control can't manipulate: the natural rhythm of consciousness evolution. The path to awakening, where living in a period of transition where, no matter how hard they try to keep humanity asleep, greater forces are at work, catalyzing a collective awakening. With each passing year, it becomes harder for the shadow to remain hidden. People are waking up, and the more people awaken, the weaker the illusion that keeps us trapped becomes. Waking up from this collective hypnosis is the first step. But the solution cannot be a traditional violent revolution. Anyone who's read Animal Farm by George Orwell knows that swapping leaders without transforming consciousness just perpetuates the cycle of oppression in new forms. The real revolution will not be televised. It can't have leaders, symbols, or parties, because these would immediately become targets for attacks, corruption, and sabotage. That's what always happens. The revolution must happen in the silence of each individual's consciousness. By breaking your own chains and abandoning your old way of life, you're actively fighting the current system. That's how you take the power back. The big question in all of this isn't about those orchestrating the control. Their fate is already sealed by their own choices and by all the suffering they've set in motion. The real question is with us, here and now. What choices will we make in each situation? As Martin Luther King once said, "There are some things in our society and in our world to which I am proud to be maladjusted. There's only one real choice: conform or become, in the eyes of the system, an enemy." Every time you control one of your impulses, every time you question what you're seeing on the news, every time you choose real education over empty entertainment, you're contributing to the revolution. The engineering of consent only works as long as we remain unconscious of its mechanisms. The moment we understand how it operates, its power over us dissolves. This understanding is your own liberation and the beginning of the transformation the world so desperately needs. What did you think about today's video? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If this video opened your mind or helped you see reality in a new light, don't forget to like and subscribe to Top Hidden Knowledge so you never miss our next deep dive into mystery, perception, and the hidden workings of our universe. And if you have time, explore more videos on our channel. We're just getting started. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and never stop questioning the world around you.